live direct from the A&R studios. It's the Empire of Nerd podcast. Here's your host, the PpkéTrooper.
Thank you, lovely assistant, for that wonderful intro. Yes, I am your host, the PpkéTrooper, or just PT for short. And this is the Empire of Nerd podcast. The podcast where we like to talk about everything nerdy, from Star Wars to anime, video games, comics, movies, music, and even D&D. I'm joined today by my co-host, the Chewie to my Han, the Krillin to my Goku, the Silent Bob to my J, Iroquois Pliskin himself, Dr. Snake. Dr. Snake, how you doing today, man?
That was a heck of an intro, actually. Thank you.
Oh,
I'm good.
Man.
I'm good.
That's good to hear, man. I'm working on that all day, so, Anything interesting going on in your week, dude?
Not much, man. Just an average person. Just, 9 to 5s, going home and just catching up on my movies, anime, etc.
For sure, man. Cool. So, straight to business time. So, this is going to be a semi-regular show where we have roundtable discussions about our favorite fandoms and recent news. We're going to cover a wide range of topics that we find interesting, and we hope to that you find interesting as well. But this first episode is going to be a bit different. I'm going to ask a couple questions here for myself, for Dr. Snake.
Yep.
Just so our listeners at home can get a feel of what we're about, and what we like to talk about, and we hope topics that you'll find interesting as well. But first, before we get to that, have a little bit of news I want to cover. So, first and foremost, they just announced 2 new Transformer movies.
Ooh.
And I bring this up, why? Because I'm pretty sure you're saying, but PT, come on, Transformers, we have so many. Bumblebee wasn't that great. You might have liked it, whatever. Why am I so excited for these new Transformers movies? Well, the first one hasn't been disclosed as what it is, but the second one is actually going to be based off of Beast Wars.
I only see it if they bring back Mark Wahlberg.
That's going to be kind of hard with Beast Wars, my man. So, for those of you at home listening, if you didn't watch it, we did. We grew up in the 90s.
Yeah.
Beast Wars was an offshoot of Transformers that was set kind of in the past, but then it was set in the future because they would find different types of technology. But instead of cars, they were animals and dinosaurs. And you had characters like Optimus Primal, who was a gorilla, Rhinox, a rhinoceros, Cheetor, the cheetah. You had Rat Trap, who was a rat. And then you had the Predacons, who were their enemies.
And then actually that cartoon was a whole different type of anime. I mean, it was a cartoon, but it looked 3D. And I don't think at the time like many shows were like that. So I think that's what like sucked me into it to also Beast Wars, because it was pretty cool.
It was a really interesting art style because that I can think off the top of my head was there was 3 shows like that. It was Beast Wars.
What's the one with like that teal looking guy that looks
that
like...
was Reboot. That was a weird one. And then it was also Starship Troopers, Roughnecks.
Ooh, I don't know about that one actually.
That was actually a really good show. And it's really great. The writer for Beast Wars is actually going to be James Vanderbilt. Now, if that name doesn't ring a bell to you, you should be kind of excited because that's actually the writer from the movie Zodiac.
Oh, man.
Now, he's really good at writing thriller, so I'm excited to see what he does with this whole, Transformers franchise. Like maybe turn it around and maybe make it good again. We've had a lot of these other movies that kind of started really good and then slowly kind of made their way down and they weren't doing as well. So hopefully, I think he can pull it off.
Yeah, I think so too, because like now with genres with reboots and with other things that that you could tell your own story and it won't hurt. It could do really bad, really good, or even mediocre, or depending on the fan too. So I think when someone else's point of view, I mean, it's amazing because you're telling the same story but in your own perspective.
Yeah, and again, I think it works out really well because, like I said, Beast Wars was set. I believe it was supposed to be set like thousands of years in the future because the dinosaurs, when they did scan them to get their dinosaur forms, they were already bones and skeletons and fossils.
Oh, I see.
And as for the Autobots, they weren't called Autobots; they were called something else. But they had a scan, and they scanned around like the animal life around the area.
Yeah.
But moving on, Netflix. I don't know what to feel about this one, but Netflix announces a live-action One Piece series.
Of?
One Piece.
One Piece.
One Piece.
One Piece?
The anime One Piece, yes.
Okay. I thought like One Piece, you were like, One Piece of what?
No. No, so it's going to be the actual anime One Piece, but they're going to make a 10-part miniseries, a live action.
Oh, it's to do with the hat, right? And they have like the red
They're
tank top.
pirates, yes.
Pirate, okay.
They're pirate crews.
Never seen the anime. I mean, yeah, never seen it, heard of it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's really good. My only concern is they have to try to condense, 700 chapters into 10 episodes. Like, that's going to be really hard. So you have to figure out what arc you're going to want to cover.
That's true.
There's plenty of stories out there.
It's almost when they made Death Note Death Note was such a long, great anime, and put it in a 2-ish hour movie, even less. That's what's
got some people kind of worried, because Netflix doesn't have the best track record of making live action animes. But this one actually doesn't sound too bad. Some of the writers include Steven Maeda from Lost and The X-Files.
Oh, damn. Okay.
And also Matt Owens, who he worked on Luke Cage and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So as far as writing department goes, I'm pretty sure they're good. And also the studio that's going to be taking over for it is going to be Tomorrow Studios, which is actually the same studios that's working on the Cowboy Bebop live action series.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, and another thing that's going to make it really good is the actual author, Ichiro Oda. He's going to be working on it, as well as an executive producer. So he's going to have a little hand in it. And so hopefully they don't stray too far from the source material.
That's a good pool of people that could actually. I mean, for me, I love when people collab, and that sounds like a really good one.
It's going to be good. So we're just waiting to hear on, who's going to be cast and what roles and whatnot. Also, I don't know if you heard about this, but Atari is going to open up a themed hotel in Las Vegas.
Yes. Is it Las Vegas, or was it in Texas or Houston?
So they're actually going to open 8 locations. It's going to be Las Vegas, Phoenix, Houston, I believe Chicago, Illinois, Seattle, San Jose, San Francisco, and maybe New York. I got to double check that last one.
Ooh, that's pretty cool. It's almost as good as why I would want to go to Japan and stay at that. What was it? That robot hotel with like that, like the dinosaurs as like your check-in. Yeah, that sounds as cool as that. But I'm pretty stoked for that.
I mean, it sounds pretty exciting. They're supposed to break ground, I believe, next month, and I mean, they're saying they haven't released too many details of it yet. But they're talking about they're going to have rooms themed after Centipede and Pong and all their original, game IPs. So this is actually going to be really cool, because you actually don't see game-themed hotels, especially here in the States. I mean, we have, Caesar's Palace is supposed to be Roman-themed, and you used to have the Imperial Palace, which was like kind of like Asian-themed, but like an actual theme for nerds and gamers, you didn't see that too often.
No.
And especially here in the States. Japan, you might find it, because let's face it, Japan is just great.
Hands down.
They have so much going on there. But, hopefully this does really well. I would love to see it when it does open, though. And finally, last bit of news. Disney wants to hire George Lucas back.
Ooh. Is it because of the lack of stories that they've been coming out? Besides The Mandalorian, I mean, it's great, but is there a purpose for that? Or I thought he didn't want to do it
that's the funny thing. They want to hire him back as a producer and not as a anything creative.
Okay.
So my thinking is that, the last 3 movies, especially the last 2, were kind of very divisive amongst the Star Wars community. So maybe it's like, well, okay, let's get George Lucas back on board, and now whatever they could put out with, they can be like, well, look, George approved of it. George is the producer. Like, he's a part of it.
So he's the one that just stamps the approval?
More or less, yeah.
Okay.
George Lucas said he would return, though, but he wants full creative control, and he wants to bring along Dave Filoni.
Oh, that's a good odds. I'll take that.
It's hard because I mean, Dave Filoni does great work. He's done, especially in Star Wars. He was the head of the Clone Wars series. He directed, I believe, 1 or 2 episodes of The Mandalorian. And I mean, if Kathleen Kennedy wasn't the head of Lucasfilm right now, easily it would be Dave Filoni if it were up to the fans. He stood very, very close and near and dear to the fans' hearts, and he knows the vision that they want.
And then he'll have the biggest vouchers as George. He'll just say, "Hey, just give it to him," and he'll do an amazing job.
Oh yeah, George Lucas vouches for him big time. He's like I said, he wants to bring him along. So, I mean, will Disney, give it to him? Who knows? Because I mean, they paid what $4 billion
Yeah.
to buy the product from George Lucas, and now threw away his scripts when he first gave him the ideas, and now they're gonna pay him to come back. Like,
They pretty much said, "Fuck your couch." Pretty much,
So pretty much, I don't know how this is gonna turn out, but I mean, if he does come back, I'll be excited because, we lost what was it? The guys from Game of Thrones. They were supposed to do a trilogy.
Oh yeah.
And they decided to step out. And now there's talks of Taika Waititi taking over for a movie or two.
Okay.
So we know he did the work for Thor, and he did What We Do in the Shadows. And personally, I feel like maybe he has a certain style of filming that leans a bit on the funnier side that might not necessarily be, I guess, in the vein of Star Wars. Like, it might be a little too comedic.
I see. So it would be like a Guardians of the Galaxy Star Wars.
Almost, yes. I feel like that's how it would turn out to be.
Yeah.
But I mean, he does do good work, and I mean, obviously, I love him as Korg in Thor.
Oh yeah.
There's no doubt he's got great acting chops. And I think he was even IG-11 in The Mandalorian.
Oh yeah.
So he did voice that. So, we just got to see what happens with Lucasfilm and Star Wars. But obviously, we won't know what happens until 2022 when the next movie comes out.
God, that's such a... I don't even know what the hell I'm doing tomorrow.
Well, hopefully it's good. Again,
Yeah.
I believe they said they want to base it off of the Knights of the Old Republic video games.
That will be really cool because Knights of the Old Republic obviously is an old Xbox game that that was an open world, almost like Skyrim now and Elder Scrolls and stuff like that, and that gave you a just becoming a Jedi or a Sith or anything like that, but it made your own Star Wars story in a console.
That was a really good game. I really did like it, and I mean the fact that it was kind of open ended with your gameplay. You can play any style you want. Like you say, you can be a Sith, you can be a Jedi, and I think what also helps is that it's based about 10,000 years before the Republic.
Oh yeah.
10,000 years before current Star Wars canon. So, if you go back that far, you have so much you can do with that. You can create new canon. You can go and cover canon. I'm just hoping they make Darth Revan canon again, because I mean, he's just a huge fan favorite, and I think everybody's just waiting for him to be part of the official Star Wars universe.
Oh yeah.
So now with that out of the way, let's get around to introduce ourselves and give a little background for our listeners. So, I'll go ahead and go first. So again, I'm the PpkéTrooper. I'm a big nerd for life. I love anime. I love watching movies. I love Star Wars. Star Wars is my biggest passion. And so much so that I actually joined the 501st Legion as a scout trooper. So
that was pretty neat when you first told me that. I was like, wow. I'm like, what are you being, an Ewok? A giant Ewok?
No, I wish, but you know what? Those furry costumes are a little too warm for my taste. I run too hot as it is. But so if you don't know, the 501st Legion is this costuming group that works very closely with charities, and we go and help, and usually it's just to go hang out with the kids, take pictures, help raise money. So it's pretty fun, and even lately we've gotten a lot of high-profile work with Lucasfilm. So if you weren't aware, I believe it was the 7th or 8th episode of Mandalorian.
Yeah.
They did not have enough Stormtrooper costumes for all the extras, so they actually hired out members of the 501st Legion.
That's pretty cool. Like, even with people hiring from that to what you have the baseball games, you have Star Wars night, and I think basketball games. So yeah, man, that 501st to go does a lot.
Yeah, it's really fun. I love it. It's really fun. It's not gonna lie, it's a little bit expensive. I mean, these costumes are movie quality.
Yeah.
But it's so fulfilling when you actually get to go do stuff, especially when you visit kids in the hospital. It's really fun. But other than that, I mean, my only other interest is music. I'm a huge music fan, and I'm a musician. I play guitar, and I mean, it's just another big passion of mine. So along with Star Wars, it's music. So how about yourself? Why don't you give?
I'm pretty much too like an average, just like guru of almost everything. Like movies. I mean, half of my conversations throughout the day is all movie quotes, and then so I go from there. Gaming too has been a big part of my life. I mean, I started from playing. I believe my first console was a Sega, and then my mom had to sell that to get me Nintendo, and just all those
Damn.
things. Yeah. Yeah, and then from anime to cartoons to '90s cartoons to, I mean, pretty much anything that you actually could relate for an adult and kid. I'm pretty much all there. And I'm a avid collector too. So once I get into something, I have an awkward way to do it. I get into it really deep, and then once I see my shelf full, I'm like, okay, I'm done, and I move on to something else.
Same.
And it's kind of weird because it's just like not saying like, oh, I'll be like classified as a poser, but I just I'll collect music like records. I'll collect even sneakers for shoes for style. I'll collect comics, and once I'm satisfied, I kind of just drop. I don't drop it completely, but I just forget about it, and then I'm like, and I just move on. And I just naturally just do that. So I think that's why I just learn about so many things, though. But yeah, that's pretty much like just like my me.
That's cool. And doing that keeps your interest fresh. You don't burn yourself out on a single thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't want to repeat myself on something that's just like like. Even if that comic is no longer there, or this and this, or even when they even collab, when I'm just reading right now with the Power Rangers and like the Turtles, like that's
That's
like
good stuff.
what, so like stuff like that always interests me. So that's what makes me go back to what I've collected, and then it makes me just want to just keep doing it.
Yeah, that's good. And you're actually also a really good artist.
Yeah. So I took back in high school, I took a thing called the Art Academy. Didn't know I can draw. I was literally drawing. My first drawings that I knew that I was able to do it was actually Dragon Ball. So I was drawing, Vegeta, Goku's, wow, I'm dreaming, Cell, Frieza, everybody that was
Nice.
actually, like the part of what I was seeing or watching at the time. And that was funny part. That was my entry booklet. You had to show your art to become in the Art Academy to show, like to see. And that was just pretty much all cartoons. Maybe one, hand drawing of my hand, just to show that I could draw, like an actual like a portrait or like so forth. But yeah, I continue that. So yeah, that's like my little hidden talent that I personally forget. And so sometimes when I go to these cons, I'm like, I could do that better, But then again, I'm just really lazy.
Yeah.
So I just buy it, support the artist, because I know how that goes, and yeah. So pretty much, I could just pretty much pick up anything and just draw it.
Yeah, I will definitely vouch for that, man. I mean, this guy drew a pretty badass Squirtle on my guitar. I mean, it's hanging up on my wall now, and looking at it, I mean, it's awesome. But yeah, so let's get to some Q&A. I mean, let's get to figuring out how we're going to do this. So, first question is, what was your first time exposure to something nerdy? Or when was the first time you realized you were a nerd?
Oh man, nerd goes a long ways. I want to say, I think when I picked up religiously watching Pokemon, because I think Pokemon was so involved during the time that we were kids, because you had the cards, you had Submerge, you had just the bare basics. And I think when I was watching it every Saturday morning on Channel 5 religiously, I'm like, holy shit, like, I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
And and like knowing the guess who, and then you have to guess the Pokemon after like each commercial and stuff like that. I think when I got so involved with that, it was like Power Rangers and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that was like my first virginized feeling was Pokemon. How about you?
Same. Growing up, I mean, we didn't have too much, but TV was always on, and I remember there was always an anime on TV or something, and then, yeah, definitely Power Rangers was my thing back in the day.
Oh yeah.
But I think the first time I actually realized I was a nerd was when someone called me a nerd for still talking about wrestling and Pokemon up until like the 8th or 9th grade, and someone, way in the back, nerd!
See, there you go. So you went from wrestling that was a sport to cartoons, and they're calling you a nerd.
Yeah.
See how it's very broad. Is it something that not an ordinary person is into as a nerd, or is it?
Yeah, it
Or not.
encapsulates a lot. So I mean, just as easily you can call a sports fan a nerd as well, especially if
Yeah.
they're playing fantasy football. I mean, I'll tell you the truth, fantasy football isn't that much different from D&D. You're rolling stats and you're trying to find numbers, and the only thing different is instead of a linebacker, you're going up against a dragon. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, what was your first animated show that you can remember enjoying and watching?
Oh, animated show.
Animated show.
Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Z, man, I honestly, to this point, I don't remember how I even picked it up. I think when I was watching Cartoon Network, I'm like, what is this? And I think it was I never watched Dragon Ball. To this point, I just watched really patchy. I have a really weird thing about going and seeing older stuff that is like not too funny, or just the humor is like really bad. But Dragon Ball. So I mean, I've also too almost exactly exact same thing like Pokemon. Dragon Ball was a thing that I had to see it every afternoon. I had to see it. I mean, shit, it took a month for Goku to defeat Frieza. Like, he was holding that spirit ball, man. My arms were hurting. My arms was like, man, his bicep and his tricep. I'm like, god damn, this was crazy.
No shit, I was tired of giving up on my damn energy for that fool to
It's
not
like,
do anything.
It's like, is he gonna do it? Not today. Is he gonna do it? And then so with that, obviously, I think that was such a Dragon Ball was such a animated show that it showed you honor, it showed you strength, it showed you so many feelings. It's just like, man, like the characters are really well drawn, well made, well background story, everything. I mean,
Definitely.
shit, like you fucking aliens, man. Like how can you not go wrong with aliens? But yeah, I would want to say Dragon Ball would be the one.
Wow, okay. So for me, I actually didn't watch Dragon Ball growing up. I actually didn't watch it until maybe high school. Because, I mean, as a kid, I had a really short attention span. And, I mean, having to watch Goku run the snake trail for 4 episodes, I mean, that wasn't for me. Actually, the first show I can remember watching was actually Sailor Moon. Because back in the day, those were the only 2 options you had. You had Dragon Ball or you had Sailor Moon. And I wanted to watch the one that had more girls. So,
well, if you lean it that way, fine. I guess I'm watching a bunch of men.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Or
I'm
a
not.
bunch of pretty girls. I
Yeah, there you go.
what's-
Yeah,
what's-
right.
What would you rather do?
Yeah, right.
And I mean, other than Sailor Moon, the next show I can remember was Samurai Pizza Cats by 4Kids. I don't know if you ever watched that one.
No, I don't
Dude,
remember that.
it's actually it's a funny thing. We got to do a whole topic about this later, but it's great because the thing I love about it is the original company sent the anime over to the States to, I believe, 4Kids,
Okay.
but they didn't send a script. So all the American studios knew was that they were cats, they were
Okay.
samurais,
Okay.
and they had a pizza shop.
Wow.
So they had to.
Where the hell is that show been my whole life?
It's really great. I think it might be
Wow.
on Hulu or Amazon Prime.
Okay.
But the studios had to go and rewrite entire scripts just by watching these anime episodes with no sound. Like it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah, those are the first 2 shows I can remember watching. Okay, so along that same line, so what was your favorite show growing up? Maybe something that you used to watch, or or something you started and you still go back to nowadays, or even something that might be still on TV.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I have a lot actually. Like I do have that category, but at the same time, I enjoyed everything. I mean, I enjoyed from like the Animaniacs, like the God Pigeons, to like what was it, like Power Rangers, to even shows like Dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs was good.
Yeah, Dinosaurs was amazing. But yeah, I just pretty much just watched everything. So I appreciate those shows. Some obviously just stopped that just for like a couple of seasons. But yeah, it's like almost saying, what's your favorite movie? It's
Yeah.
like, oh my God, like so many options. I'll give you top 10 for sure. But if you tell me to like, what is number 1, then I'm like, damn, I can't tell you.
Damn, we'll have to do an episode on that then for sure. But I would have to say, oh man, for me, it's actually really hard to go back and rewatch TV shows. I can rewatch movies all the time, but rewatching TV shows, especially multiple seasons, it's very difficult for me because it's like, at that point, I know what's gonna happen. You know, I know what's gonna be. It's gonna be sad. It's gonna be happy, but it's very difficult for me to go back and watch shows. But the one show I guess that I can still go back and watch is the original season of Pokemon in the Indigo League.
Indigo League, yeah.
I mean, I grew up watching that forever. I watched some of the other seasons, but the original trio of Ash, Brock, and Misty, I mean, I can go back and watch those episodes all the time.
You know what? You're right. And then that's a good anime cartoon that it's the humor is good. Like, I mean, it's really basic humor that is still current. Like, you know,
it is, and I think also another big part of the humor was the translations. I mean, they had to localize the cartoon for American watchers, and I mean, I guess they felt that we wouldn't understand what rice balls or onigiri was, and that's how we get Brock's jelly donuts.
Oh man!
So
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I remember seeing. I'm like, no, bro, that's a rice ball.
Yeah,
I know what that is.
It's funny. It's just like, you know, how they have to like say, well, this is this is a food that you guys enjoy here. It's like, I love food, man. Just show me the fucking food.
Yeah. Yeah, but definitely. I know this next question is going to be hard for you because I know you've met a lot. But who's the most famous person you've ever met?
Oh man. So for work, I actually do trade shows. So I meet some celebrities there. I attended some Comic-Cons, some WonderCons, and all those cons. But the one that I was kind of shaky that I knew he was going to be there was Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh man.
I know wrestling well, not religiously, but this is the dude that I've watched growing up. I love his attitude. He has, I think, like 19 titles under him. Now he's like retired and has like his own brewing company, and he's like sponsored by some type of animation.
Broken Skull.
Yeah, Broken Skull. Yeah. So I think when I found out when I was at work, he was attending, I was like, fuck work. I literally have to go meet this guy. And I stood in line, and I think he was sponsored at the time. I think it was like a scope for a gun or something like that. And he, totally met him. I have the picture. And he signed a sticker. And I wish I had a Funko Pop or something like a T-shirt of the actual him being Stone Cold. And
that would be cool.
And but yeah, I think he's like the most one I experienced with him.
Yeah, for me it's a little easier. I've met like maybe 3 famous people. I got to meet Wee Man at a random surplus store in San Pedro.
And let alone you're like what, 6'5", 6?
No, I'm only 6'1".
Oh damn! Wow. Okay.
But still, I mean, he only came up to about my knee.
Yeah.
I remember at Kamikaze, I got to meet Howie Mandel. I mean, he.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That was really fun because I'm a huge fan of Bobby's World, and so
another great cartoon.
It's
Holy
fuck, great cartoon. And I actually went and I drew a picture of Bobby, and it was so childish. I colored it in with crayon and everything, but I took it to him, and even like his entourage were like, "Oh, like did you draw that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did." Like, it's no big thing. Like, it looks like crap. They're like, no, it looks really good. Like, yeah, and he signed it for me, and I have it framed. I need to put it up. It's sitting in my closet somewhere. But honestly, like, you would, if I told you who the most famous person was, like, people would be like, who? But Paul Dini. And
I'm saying who?
Paul Dini was one of the lead animators for the Batman animated series.
See?
And he also worked on a lot of the concept art for, I believe, the original Arkham Asylum. So a lot of his designs actually went into the game, and so I got to go meet him at another convention. He signed a copy of my game, and I mean, it blew my mind. I mean, growing up, I loved watching the Batman anime series.
Yeah, of course, hands down.
Yeah, but kind of going back to what you were talking about earlier, what was your favorite wrestler?
Stone Cold. Fuck, Stone Cold. Yeah, he's just a fucking dope dude, man. I mean, at the time it was what, The Rock, The Undertaker,
Kane.
Yeah, dude, his brother.
Dude, that was the biggest. The biggest lie we were telling ourselves. The Undertaker and Kane were brothers.
And then Goldust, you had Rashiki.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude. I mean, I don't know, just because we're like, you know, '90s babies, technically, like like in the era that we saw everything go. But yeah, yeah, it's still the fucking best times.
It's hands down the best. And then honestly, I feel like we might have kind of missed the golden age of wrestling because I mean, you think back in the '80s, you had Macho Man, Hulk Hogan,
Yeah,
Andre the Giant. You had these huge names in wrestling.
yeah,
But the '90s roll around, mid '90s hit, and you have the Attitude Era. And I mean, back then you had WWF, WCW, and ECW, and eventually they all merged into one.
mm-hmm.
But WWF was a place to be, man. You had, again, The Rock, Stone Cold, The Hurricane,
Yeah,
The Hollies,
mm-hmm.
The Hardy Boys,
Mm-hmm.
Christian and Edge. I mean, we can go on all night listing names.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I have to agree with you, man. Stone Cold was my favorite, and then just as like as a number two would have to be the Hurricane, just because that fool
Yeah.
was just ridiculous, and his stunts were just funny to me at that time, And so, next question: what was your first video game you remember playing?
Video game ever playing, I would want to say the Nintendo, the Noid.
No.
The Noid was the first one. My uncle used to have actually a huge collection of NES, and he had like random ones. He had like the 1942, obviously Pac-Man, Paperboy, but I want to say the Noid, yeah. And I was like, who the hell is this character? This Pizza Hut character, And yeah, that was I think my first time playing a game at his house, and he did the whole blowing into the cartridge, he put it in, and I was like, what the fuck is he doing? And then I'm like,
whole
damn.
ritual.
Yeah, it's a whole, he blessed it, and then it worked, But yeah, the Noid. I think I want to say the Noid because I think even down the line, when I started collecting video games, I had to get that game just because of like the memories that I actually had with him.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny enough, I remember my first video game I can actually remember playing was I was actually doing I was in the hospital. I had pneumonia as a kid.
Damn.
And
Cold-blooded.
I remember they had to put an IV in my hand and they had to tape the whole thing so I wouldn't move around and swing my hand and the IV would come out. So they took us down to the playroom and they actually had a whole wall left to right of Nintendo systems and TVs. And because I can only play with one hand, they connected the light gun for me and I played Hogan's Alley. And so my first experience with video games was to start blasting away, man.
Oh man!
I guess
so
it's
you
were
were technically handicapped, and then
pretty much for a little bit, yeah. But
That's pretty funny, man.
But like my first console I actually owned though,
Mm-hmm.
it was gonna have to be a Sega Genesis.
yeah,
My brother brought one home and it was boxed with Sonic Spinball. I still remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Like to this day, the image of Sonic jumping around those pinball tables. I mean, it's burned in my mind.
yeah.
And then we had that, and we had Mortal Kombat, and that was it for a long time.
Oh man, going back to the Sega, like I had what was it? It was a Sega version of Mortal Kombat 3, and it was the first time where they were gonna introduce smoke.
Oh,
And
yeah.
dude, I don't know what the hell happened to that Sega, but I kept that cartridge in my mom's drawer because I just didn't want to lose it. So, and then I think for moving back and forth, I still think I believe she lost it, and I'm fucking, but yeah, I think that was like the most game I ever wanted. The first time I ever wanted for a console was that one because I know that he was going to be in that game.
Yeah, I mean Mortal Kombat hands down is a great franchise. They're actually supposed to be bringing it back, I believe, as a show or a movie. I've heard.
Like the 90s movies, like the one that we saw with the Scorpion.
Similar to that, but I guess back in maybe like mid to early 2000s, they had a YouTube show for a bit that had like
Oh yeah, that's
went
right.
into the background of each character. So
Mhm.
I guess they actually got that director to come on board, and they're gonna make again either a show or a movie. So I'm actually really excited for that. And so sticking with the subject of video games, what's your favorite video game and console?
I mean, if you guys haven't guessed yet, from Dr. Snake, well, the Doctor part is because I feel like I'm like a helper. Snake, it has to be Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid to me was a game that I literally saw multiple people purchase it. And I just saw the cover, and the blank. It just says Metal Gear Solid blank background. That's all I had.
White background, red lighting.
Yeah, and it was for the PS1. At the time, I didn't play it myself because I was just like I didn't have a job, obviously, and then but once I started to get to read about it and people tell me about it, that storytelling is so. Hideo is one of my heroes, but from that game to and knowing how good it is. Part 2, forget it. I was fucking ready. I needed my PS2, Metal Gear Solid Sons of Liberty. I mean, I was dedicated now because I feel like if I missed an era on Metal Gear Solid, so I almost backtracked, and I backtracked hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, Metal Gear Solid, the whole franchise, the whole thing. I know some people didn't like the Part 5 because of David Hayter wasn't in there and so forth. I believe I know what was the reason because I would want to believe, but people just don't believe in that. Whatever, but yeah, Metal Gear Solid is one of my favorite games, and of course from that, PlayStation opened up the whole world for me. My neighbor had a PlayStation 1, PS1. I think at the time I had like just a Sega actually still. I think I got the Sega and I really wanted a PS1. And then of course got the 2. Yeah, so yeah, PlayStation. Fuck, hands down.
Yeah,
PlayStation.
Definitely. There's a reason why PS2 was the most sold console.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, I have to agree with you. Metal Gear was great, especially Part 3. I mean, I was hooked on that for a good couple years just messing around with all the camouflage. But man, my favorite video game. I'm kind of split, so on one hand, I mean, first of all, I love the Nintendo franchise, period, hands down. I feel like they've put out like groundbreaking, genre-defining games. You got Mario, Legend of Zelda's way up there on my list. Pokemon, you got Metroid, all those, and Smash Brothers, and
Smash.
But if it was what was my favorite developer? Nintendo, hands down. And it would be the 64 is my favorite console.
Yeah.
But I think I have to throw it over to the PS2 as well.
Yeah.
Like I said, 64, you had Ocarina of Time, GoldenEye, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Mario Kart, Star Fox. I only needed one game for the PS2, and that was Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, that was just a game beyond epic. And to this day, the music gives me goosebumps. I'll throw it on in the car when I'm driving around, and I just get so pumped, and I just want to get ready to go climb a mountain and go fucking kill something,
Yeah, and it's funny. I still remember that game in high school. I've actually converted like a handful of people to that game, and they like almost like it was like religion after that. They like almost thanked
like
me.
That.
They thanked me for like, oh my god, thank you for showing me this game. I was like, man, really? Like, I would really like, oh sure, like I almost felt honored, but I was just like, yeah, I mean, you're fighting Colossus, dude.
I mean, dude, it's literally just a game. You're fighting bosses, and I mean, I don't know how many times I've gone through that game, and honestly, I don't know how many times we've purchased it because they keep remaking it and re-releasing it. I think we're like on the 4th copy by now.
Yeah,
I guarantee you, when PS5 comes out, there's going to be a copy of Shadow of the Colossus as well.
Dude, talk about copies. For Metal Gear Solid, I literally have 5 copies of every Part 1, Part 2. You have Subsistence, you have Snake Eater you have Snake Eater for the 3DS, the PS2 when they made it Subsistence, when they made it like the anniversary pack. Yeah, I fucking anything Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, my thing was Twin Snakes, man. That was the best, especially once they put the MGS2 mechanics in there with first person. It kind of ruined the first fight with Revolver Ocelot, but I mean, that was a whole new thing.
I would really hope they would remaster that, but nah, Nintendo has it on lockdown.
Yeah, Nintendo's got a grip on that one.
Yeah, they're not gonna let that shit go.
So right now, currently, what's your favorite anime right now, or what anime are you currently watching?
I am. I know I'm a little behind. Like I said to my girlfriend actually got me into My Hero Academia. I am hooked. I'm on season 3. I think episode was it like? Well, yeah, just actually right when you start season 3. So I'm super hooked on that. I am watching. Let's see. There's another one too. I can't recall. It's about basically it's like a murder scene. It's like a murder scene, and then so you're basically finding out who's the killer, but it's almost like oh my god, what's that one well, with the kids, and then a battle royale. There you go.
Oh, that's right.
And it's called.
I think you're talking about Danganronpa.
That's the one. Yeah. So that was pretty
Hope I'm
cool.
pronouncing that right.
Yeah, that was pretty cool because the fact that it's almost like battle royale, and then so you have these high school kids that just kind of get thrown into in an abandoned high school, but they kind of rebuild it from the top.
Right.
And all of them have like their own specialty. Like one's a singer, one's this, one's that, and then one's like a baseball player. Yeah. So and there's a little teddy bear that he's pretty much like he's like he is like the principal from there, and so he like kind of tells you who it is, and or like tries to aim. I don't know. I mean, that's a great show too. And then the most I've seen, and then like the last one that I saw that was really good again was Dragon Ball Super.
Right.
I when I couldn't think they could make it any better, when they even went to GT, I thought it was amazing actually. But Super, whew, man.
GT actually got a lot of hate.
I
didn't
got a lot of hate. I watched it just because I wanted to see Super Saiyan 4 and like from like the whole continuation off of Z. But Super, yeah, man, they made Goku look so good. He's God.
Yeah.
I'll believe it too, But yeah, but for the current, my hero, and at the time when Dragon Ball actually was airing, Naruto was also airing too. Again,
right.
really late to that, but I'm like pretty far in. Loved it. Yeah, I loved it. Again, that's another one that my girlfriend actually introduced to, as in right now, and great. Yeah, dude, great anime.
Yeah. Yeah. Same here, dude. I'm playing a lot of catch up myself, and yeah, I'm in the same boat. I love My Hero Academia. It's really good, and favorite of all time. It's gonna be a 3-way tie between that, again, the original Pokemon.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know if you ever seen it, but Dragon Ball Z Abridged. It's actually a really good show. It's put out by this channel on YouTube called Team 4 Star.
Okay.
And what it is I guess there was a trend of a bridge series back in the day where they would go and do fan dubs of different animes, and they did Yu-Gi-Oh and Sailor Moon and all that. But the writers from Team 4 Star are just top notch. Their acting skills are the best. I think their Vegeta can easily rival Funimation's version of it, and it's just the jokes are insane. They are funny, and the best thing about it is that they can get away making these dumb jokes, but the thing that separates Dragon Ball Abridged from other Abridged series is that you still get the gist of what's happening, and you understand the storyline, whereas other series you might get lost trying to understand, and it's just like, okay, this is just something funny I'm watching. DBZ Abridged, it's you know what's happening, you get the idea of what's going on, and they kind of actually condense it a little bit. They cut out some of the story, like with Pilaf and all that. Like they take some of that out, and they actually tie in Android 16 actually pretty well with a little piece of original art and cartooning that they did.
Okay.
So they actually tied him in and created this whole little backstory for Android 16 as to why he's just trying to kill Goku, and it's not just a mindless Dr. Gero said to kill him. Like there's actually a little bit of a backstory to it, and it's actually really interesting. So I would definitely say give that a watch. Okay. It's actually really good. So next question: who is your favorite superhero or heroine?
I would say Batman. Bruce Wayne to me is just like, sure, people might say not think that he has a superpower. He's just rich, almost like Tony Stark is, so he has the money to do whatever he can do. But I think it's just like from like the stuff that he's he's gone through. He's from like the death of his parents and just having just a butler to pretty much like take care of him. I think he just appreciates everything in his empire, and Yeah, just Batman, dude. I mean, you have the best villains and Batman. I want to
Yeah,
say
definitely.
Spider-Man and Batman have the best villains. I mean, from from the Green Goblin, Hobgoblin to the Joker and Penguin. You
Yeah,
know, you have you have the head like the heads buttings all the time, but Batman.
definitely, definitely.
Hmm.
What about a female superhero?
Female
Yeah, favorite
superhero.
heroine.
Wow. Xena.
Okay,
Xena
okay,
the Warrior Princess.
okay. I can buy that.
That's all I have to say.
Me personally, I would definitely have to say more recently. I mean, I love Batman, Spider Man, all the guys. But more recently, I actually really like All Might from My Hero Academia. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
he's up there. He's almost a Superman type of character where he's just super strong and nothing gets in his way. But I personally don't like Superman. Like he's too perfect.
Yeah.
He has his weaknesses,
Yeah.
but it doesn't make it fun because he can't grow as a character.
Yeah.
Where All Might, he is very very apparent what his weakness is. He was injured in a fight, and now he can only stay in his super form for. At first, it was 3 hours, and I think
No, it's
now
like
it's
like
like
an
an hour
hour.
if you're
Yeah.
lucky. And also on top of that, he goes to go teach the kids over there at UA, and honestly, he's a really shitty teacher. Like he's trying to teach Deku all for one, and he or one for all,
Yeah.
and I mean he's not really doing a good job about it. Like he's got his body ready and all that, but as to be a hero, like he's not that great of a teacher to be honest.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny too because like someone that powerful, he still has a weakness that he can't even teach.
Yeah,
you know.
that's the cool thing. And I guess along that same lines, Homelander from The Boys.
Oh
He's
man.
he's
Yeah.
very similar where he's
No, but
he's-
Homelander's a
he-
dick.
yeah, but that's what I'm getting at. He's another Superman type character, but he's got his faults and his weaknesses where he's just an asshole. He's psychopathic,
Yeah, yeah. I think that's what even Stan Lee said that when they asked him that what's the one thing that he would change, and it was Superman. That he was just too strong. That he was just a strong superhero that, even when we watched like Batman Superman, like was or like the Dark Knight, as like the comic, did Bruce Wayne have a chance doing that armor to actually take down Superman?
Yeah.
I was just like, dude, he has no chance. But again, his equipment saved him, this and this, like always does. But he's too strong, dude. He's a strong hero. That's why All Might, like exactly like the way you said, like I love how they show his duty of doing of like saving everybody and how to teach, but he has his own weakness from that.
Yeah,
Hurt.
I mean now he has to deal with having to pass that on to Deku, and
Yeah.
so I feel like that's what makes him a more interesting character because, like I said, Superman has his arc. Sorry, Superman fans, if you're hating right now,
Eh.
but honestly, like Superman is just too perfect. I mean, if you think about like the original Superman cartoons, like way back in the 50s or whatnot,
Mhm.
yeah, they would show him like maybe struggling to push the train, or maybe the villain threw some gas and he was struggling with that. And the next episode, he can overcome it. So there was a bit of an arc of Superman getting stronger. But once you start getting to like the movies and the cartoons, it was kind of like, the only thing that literally could stop him was kryptonite. And even some of the stronger villains had a hard time with him. And obviously, yeah, the hero always wins. But that's what made, Batman so interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, Bane broke his back and he had to heal and relearn how to walk and all that. That's what makes him interesting.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's one of my favorite heroes as well. And I mean, he was broken by Uncle Ben's death, and he overcame it. And his struggles of having to balance his superhero life with his personal life with Mary Jane or whatnot. So I mean, yeah, I just like ragging on Superman sometimes. but along the same vein, who's your favorite supervillain?
Oh man, Joker to the Batman. To your right, to your left, to your right, to your salt and pepper. There's always there's always that secondary person that you always have to attach. Joker, he loves Batman. He can't live without Batman. I don't think he's even himself without Batman. So I think that's why they don't. That's what he doesn't. He might put him in jail, but then he randomly escapes, or this and this, or he might just have him captured, but he escapes. So I believe that even in the Lego I mean, even like in the Batman Lego movie at the end, where he was just like he really cares, like even showing kids that Joker can't live without Batman,
Right.
and he's just a gangster, dude. He just I mean. Everybody has their own Joker. That's because, again, you have either the gangster, you have the rebellion dude, you have was it like the one with Joaquin Phoenix?
Right,
just like
right,
just showing the struggle of someone poor to say, hey, I'm gonna take over now.
Right.
Yeah, dude. Like, I mean, Joker is a really broad guy, but that only wants Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite version of Joker?
Has to be the anime series.
Oh, Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill.
Yes.
Mark Hamill. Honestly, again, I'm really good at these these cartoons stuff like that. I'm bad with names. I'm so bad with names. It took me a while just to find out that was Mark Hamill. And when I found that out, I was tripping balls. I was just like, "What?
Yeah.
Like Luke did that?
Yeah.
Like
I don't think I found out till about high school.
yeah. I think so. Me too. So I appreciate voice actors. Like even like side note, went to the LA Comic Con recently for a big part. And then just actually my girlfriend really wanted to meet the voice actor of SpongeBob. And
Tom Kenny.
and she fucking dude, her glow to that, it was hilarious. But the dude was super humble. So I love voice actors, man. But anyways, yeah. But going back to Wish Joker, that one, I think that's my best one. Obviously Heath Ledger is always great. The most recent one, like the Walking Phoenix, I would say that was probably the hardest role for him because of Heath Ledger. So he had
Right.
to, people knew that he was gonna actually, you had to relate to the guy. And I don't think, and it was really hard for him probably to make up, Joker, but he pulled it off. I thought it was
He
good.
did a great job.
He did a great job. People didn't like it for some odd reasons because I feel like people actually had that same background of like for Heath Ledger, but he did an amazing job.
I mean, he had really big shoes to fill. He had Heath Ledger, and then after that was what's his name from Suicide Squad.
Oh,
And I mean, well, not so much big shoes in his regard.
Oh, okay,
You had big shoes with Heath Ledger, and then you had him, and then he kind of didn't do the greatest job. I mean, people call him the Hot Topic Joker. I mean,
yeah. All he just needed was like the band patches from back in the day.
That was it.
That's it.
Jared Leto. That was his
Jared
name.
Leto, yeah.
But yeah,
See, you forgot the name.
he-
That's how bad he was.
Yeah, I mean, so I know when I heard Joaquin Phoenix,
Yeah.
I was like, wow, like that's. I remember watching I Am Here, his kind of like pseudo documentary he did, and I was just like, what the hell is he doing?
Yeah.
And I remember seeing the first teaser images of Joker, and it was him in the little green cardigan, and he looked so frumpy, and it's like, dude, how is this the Joker? But then they released the trailer.
Yeah.
And at the end of the trailer, the train passes by, and it's him in the suit with the green hair and the makeup, and I was sold. I was immediately sold. Okay, I got to give this a shot because that's actually really really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um.
But and then also to Jack Nicholson.
Yes.
You can't
the
forget.
first.
Tim Burton also did a great job with with him. But Jack Nicholson was also too, like he fit that role. He had that giggle and smile that it was Jack,
Yeah.
like it wasn't like he didn't have to make up, these laughs like how everybody did to define Joker. It was just his genuine, just creepy laugh. And then, but yeah,
His facial expressions as well.
oh yeah, even, yeah, like
You can see like all the emotion he put into it through all that makeup and prosthetics he had on.
yeah, like even with that, you still saw his smile, like
Yeah.
from his actual, of himself actually, so,
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's also another great Joker, so.
Man, my favorite supervillain, jeez, I would have to say
Come on.
Mr. Freeze. But the Arnold Schwarzenegger version. Chill out. No, but seriously, dude, Frieza. Frieza from DBZ.
Oh man, see now you're gonna. Okay,
See, dude,
okay.
The thing,
super villain.
the thing about Frieza was he was. I mean, he was obviously strong enough to destroy entire planets. You know, Death Star style.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just his attitude towards everybody. Like he knew, like his base form actually wasn't his base form. Like he actually created these lower forms for him because he was so powerful. So it was kind of like, let me make myself weaker in this form so I can have some fun screwing with people. And he was just such a dick to everybody.
Dude, even when he was a kid, I think it was the episode where Frieza's dad takes him to go meet like the Saiyan planet, and he's like, oh, well, this is like a new ruler, and the dad enjoyed the fuck out of the moment because even Frieza, he was already like demanding what he wants to this and this, you know, to obey him. But dude, he was a dick like since he was like a kid. So
yeah, I mean, hands down, Frieza's got to be my favorite villain. Mm-hmm. And I mean, just that fight with Goku. I mean, that was like the event of my childhood almost.
Yeah, dude, he had like what? He had like 4 or 5 stages, and Goku just had 2, I believe. He had Super Saiyan.
That's when he first went Super Saiyan.
Yeah, that's when first went Super Saiyan. But before that, I think it was what was that Instinct? Oh my god, I'm drawing a blank. Something Instinct.
The newest form?
No, it was like he hit. It was like a like he just drank pre-workout.
Wasn't it Kaioken?
Kaioken. Yeah, there you go. That's the one. Pre-workout.
Kaioken times 20.
Yeah, so I think that it was that, and then after that, that's when he was like losing his shit. But he had to like again, he had to save the planet.
Yeah.
And
I mean, he lost his friend Krillin at that moment, and that was just enough to push him over the edge. And dude, Frieza still didn't die. Like he didn't die until that fucking planet went supernova. You know.
Yeah.
It's amazing, like what the work they did with that character.
Yeah, and that's another one that's another character when they moved it to Super. He's fucking still there.
They had to bring him along and drag him from hell.
Yeah, drag him from hell from a little cocoon in the tree. But he did. That character developed so well that you almost hated that guy.
Yeah.
You know, at first I'm like, fucking hate this guy, and then like after like like so long, and then Super was like, damn, that's why I love Super, because it was a conclusion to the characters that you hated the most, but it showed you like a good love story, that to be like, you know what, they have a good heart, but they're still out for themselves.
Yeah.
So watch out.
Okay, so let's see. What is your most prized possession?
Talking about anything, right? Like collectibles or anything like that. Wow.
Let's try to keep collectibles, but anything, I guess. Yeah.
Wow. Well, just by based off collectibles, I've actually had an honor to actually each cons that I always go to, I always see at the rosters. So I have I don't know if you remember those old school Power Rangers toys that like you were able to like flip the head.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
So it morphed on its own, I guess, with like the little belt. It was like a little V.
Click the bell and the head was shit.
Yeah, there you go. So then I have the Red Ranger signed, Blue Ranger, Black Ranger, R.I.P. Pink Ranger. So that's Yellow Ranger. So that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kimberly's the last one that I need to meet. Oh, I met Tommy. I even met that guy too. Had it signed. But Kimberly's the one that she's kind of doesn't want to do stuff.
She doesn't do much. She doesn't do, but I mean, she's kind of got like her plate full. She's got her music career going, and she does a lot of directing and writing. I think she just did a movie last year.
Yeah, I think she was like playing like in a subway with her Pink Ranger outfit and guitar,
did see
right?
That, yes.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, she's in it, but she's just teasing us. But I really hope to actually meet her in a con. I really like honored to meet her, because that show, even my mom, man, she hustled to get me those damn fucking toys. Before internet, before cell phones, before she would call the Toys R Us, we would jump on the fucking trolley. And it's like a transportation bus back in the day. It looked all like wooden, you know, like I remember that, and I fucking knew even that driver too. Like he was like, "Hey, what's up, man? Hey, what's up?" You know, and she would literally put down her name on those Power Ranger toys, man, and she threw it down. No. I don't even know how she did it though, but thank God for her, and I just love my mom for that. But yeah, so just by meeting the childhood heroes, she's the last one. That would be pretty nice.
That would be awesome to get the set.
Yeah, man. So how about you? Like, is there any collectibles or any?
You know what? I have. I mean,
memorabilia?
looking around my room, you can see it's just full of crap.
It's full of shit.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Pops, we've got Black Series figures. There's Mighty Mugs, which I'm pissed they didn't, stick around that long. But honestly, one of my most prized possessions, I would have to say, is actually an original 1970, might be 8, Kenner Stormtrooper. A little 3-inch one.
Oh, okay.
They were supposed to be the ones that came out with the Christmas giveaway thing. You bought this empty box and submitted the warranty card in the back, and they would send you these toys later on because they didn't have them at the time.
Oh, okay.
But I was actually able to pick it up off of eBay for super cheap. It was like $5. I was actually really surprised. And the guy was just like, "Yeah, I got a box of them."
I remember that. I think I was with you when you actually picked that up, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, dude, like I was so stoked. Like, that's my only piece of original Star Wars product that came out at that time when Star Wars was everywhere.
Yeah, I tried collecting Star Wars toys, and midway I said, "Fuck it."
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Again, and I started collecting when it was Episode 2, Clone Wars, and yeah, it was just so many that even the toys started looking differently, the way how they molded them and stuff like that. So even with that, I kind of just stopped because I was, again, with my being having like a huge collectible type of fucking era, I tried collecting toys, and I did, sold some already, kept a lot that are good shit. Right. But Star Wars, yeah. I mean, the toys of that's another. I believe there's so much Star Wars toys, Power Ranger toys, and Ninja Turtle toys. Yeah. That's probably like a whole other topic, but
that's a whole other thing.
That's a whole other thing though. But there's a lot of toys.
I think the other thing I'm actually kind of proud of is actually, I believe, I don't recall if it was a WonderCon exclusive or Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con, but it was a Swamp Thing statue that came. Like when you open it, it's a really nicely detailed statue. He's got moss and grass and crap crawling all over him, and he's actually protected by this little case that's in the shape of his head. But I picked it up at this store called Geeky Mamas. It's not I think it might be around still, maybe Buena Park. But
oh yeah, that's right.
We actually went. I picked it up. And the creator, Len Wein, was actually there. Yeah. And he actually created Swamp Thing and I believe Wolverine.
Yeah, Wolverine.
And so I was able to get it signed from him, and I mean, he's passed on, I think, about 2 years now. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that thing, it's really awesome, and it's just shoved in a box in my garage somewhere.
That's how awesome it is. You can't see that shit anymore.
I want to make sure it's put away and possibly chewed on by rats, but I'm gonna try to flip it. Yeah, you never know.
But yeah, and another dark side of just collectibles, man. Like, there's some you can display.
You run out of space.
That's why it's like, man, I want a whole just mansion full of random of my shit.
So, is there anything you find frustrating about nerd culture or the perception of nerd culture?
In some points, yes and no. Obviously, you're asking me this question. It's just more. I love the whole nerd thing, or just superhero thing, or just a culture with that. When you can actually separate yourself from what's going on currently, like with politics or religion or so forth. Right. So I think when you read comics, when you see animes, when you see superhero cartoons, even shit. Even I love Looney Tunes. I that's also the thing that like I actually grew up on. But when you could detach yourself with that, that's amazing. But like, again, like going back to the Joker with the Walking Phoenix one, I remember actually going up to the Valley, stopped by a comic shop to pick up, like whatever was current, and me and my girlfriend actually just we just saw the Joker like not even like an hour before, and we really wanted to talk to somebody about that, and then we asked the comic guy, and the comic guy were like, hey, so what do you think about the Joker? And he gave that look of a squinty look, saying, it was kind of gory. I mean, fine. Like I believe people that can't even watch horror films or can't even watch like certain like movies like will get like your stomach twisted.
Yeah.
But in his concept, what I recall, he was just saying that that he would hope that that's a society that he wouldn't hope that the society of what it is now, but they based it off of what's going on today and stuff like that. So
Currently.
currently, yeah. So like so with that, like he was really confused with his emotions because of what was going on currently,
Right,
like
right.
by President Trump and by the whole riots thing. I mean, not saying that
Yeah.
there's riots now, but just just like like stuff like that could happen. But then again, yes, with anything. But is it gonna happen? No, and
No.
and that's the separation that of the nerd culture that I'm like, dude, it's just it's fiction.
Yeah, it's a nice form of escapism. The whole point is
Yeah,
to get away from everything and not have to worry
exactly.
about this and that. And I get that. Like I remember when they were saying that about Joker. I think it was on the news where they were saying like, oh yeah, they're going to station soldiers into or they were warning off soldiers from watching the movie because of gun violence that they were expecting to strike at the theaters. And I mean, the premiere came and went, no issues, and people got riled up over nothing. So I mean, I get that. I totally get that.
But
Um,
yeah, but with the no culture, yeah, like when you can actually separate yourself, that's why I love going to cons.
yeah,
Because especially anime con or just a comic con that I went like about 3-4 years. And just anything, because you literally like go into your world like that actually. I was reading an article that is one of the most things to do for a bucket list is to cosplay, because you feel like a celebrity. People want your picture. People want to see what you
it's
dressed up
fun,
as.
dude.
Dude, it's fun.
It's great.
Again, my my girlfriend too. She's a super nerd too as well, and like hopefully we could go cosplay, as anything,
Right.
and then so that's why how like the trooper over here actually became like the 501st with his wife, and that's awesome because they actually Star Wars characters, they could do it shit. If you want birthday parties, call him.
Yeah.
If you want this and this, call but it's cool because the fact that you dressed up as your favorite character
Yeah.
or as anything.
You become your favorite character.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
it's awesome.
Yeah, you get in costume.
Seen all the work people put into it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So me, oh man, it's kind of a loaded question. I'm gonna put it out there, and I hope no one takes it the wrong way. But
Oh man, I'm scared.
well, I mean, it's not that bad. But the thing that I don't like is the toxicity of the fandom sometimes.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about like the oh, you don't like so and so character because they're female or they're a person of color, or oh, they're switching all the genders of the characters, and they're making them and pushing an agenda
Oh,
like
I
yeah,
see. I
that's all
see.
politics. I feel politics need to stay out of comics and movies and all that, unless it's obviously a political movie. But as far as like Star Wars and comics and animes, like you just make it easier for everybody to keep all of them out. But the toxicity I'm talking about is like people who are like elitists,
Mm-hmm.
and all fandoms have elitists. Oh, you just started watching it, like yeah, whatever. Like I watched it when it first came out. You know, it sucks, but even in the 501st, there are elitists. Like like oh, so one thing with the costumes is you
Mm-hmm.
have different levels. You have your entry level, you have your intermediate level, and then so let's take the stormtrooper for example. The highest level of a stormtrooper you can have is a centurion, and that means you've made your costume 100% identical to the way the movies were. So
Yeah.
in
So
the in
so
the
you're always you're feeling that people always have to top you.
yeah, in a sense. So like I said, even on that stupid centurion costume, there's in the crotch there's like a random rivet that's not used. It's just there because they've had it there. And some guys are like, they have it, and if someone walks up in their entry level
Yeah.
stormtrooper, oh well, mine is movie accurate, or you know your material for your gloves are wrong, and like I said, it's an issue that's very widespread. I mean, it sucks. Like I'm planning on taking my nephews to Anime Expo this year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and my nephew, like, I mean, don't think like these little kids. You know, these are grown ass kids. I think the youngest one's 13. But the middle one, he was asking me like, so what do I wear? Because this is his first con.
Yeah.
He's asking, what do I wear? And I'm like, well, depends, dude. Like, do you want to go in a costume or what? He goes, no, like I just want to go like regular. I said, well, dude, what I usually like to do is I'll go and depending on what convention it is, I'll wear something obviously that I like. So like when we went to Star Wars Celebration a couple years ago, you know, I wore a Star Wars shirt and I had my 501st vest. You know, this year I'm planning on taking maybe a Vegeta shirt or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I told him, I said, dude, just wear whatever costume, you know, or whatever you want. Get a shirt of your favorite anime.
Yeah, that's your time to shine.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, I want to wear a My Hero Academia shirt, but I don't want people to be mean and be like, oh, well, he's a new fan and oh, he hasn't been watching it forever and this and that.
Yeah.
And that sucks, dude, especially for a younger kid. And I feel like that's really hard because I feel like that's what keeps people away from enjoying these things. Like, you know, you do have these shitty fans out there.
Yeah.
And they talk down to others because, oh, yeah, I've been in here forever, or my costume's the best, or you don't know this and that. Like, dude, we all start somewhere. Come on, like, not everybody fucking jumped in head first and like, hey, dude, yeah, like I know everything about this anime, and it's only the second episode. Like,
yeah, like for sure, like that with the whole bandwagon, you know, type of topic with that, you know, that does suck because you can't branch out. I mean, even like with my little brother, you know, like he is obsessed with Thomas the Train, and once he looks at a train's face, he will know like dead on, you know, that's Thomas, that's Bouncy or whatever those damn characters called, you know, James. I should know him by now because he tells me, and the way he tells me, you can see the glow in his eyes that he loves that, but he's embarrassed to talk about it to his friends,
Right.
because I think when I asked him to like for a birthday party, obviously we said Thomas the Train. He totally denied it, and he's like, no, I want Super Mario. Again, fan, but he knows that more people are into Super Mario, and so that's what he chose. So,
Right.
you know, so with that, even from whatever age, and fucking grown ass men, you
Yeah.
know, we still feel that people will overtop us, and that's kind of sad.
Yeah, it sucks, you know, and I feel that's the worst part of the culture sometimes.
Yeah.
Either still not being accepted, like if we're trying to, you know, like we said, we're both breaking into My Hero Academia right now.
Yeah, for sure.
And if someone were to be like, oh, well, you know, whatever, you're watching the dub. I watched it originally when it came out subtitled still, or I watched it in the original Japanese. Like, you know, you're not a fan. Like, dude, that puts you down. That sucks.
You know what? Okay,
and that keeps people out of enjoying their fandoms.
I'm guilty on that. That's what I said about Dragon Ball Super. I was like, oh yeah, I watched the Japanese and I'm fine. And I'm like, I don't need to watch it again, but I do want to watch it again because of, you know, obviously the voice actors. But I said, I don't know why, but I made a switch and I kept saying that. And now that you bring that up, I feel like a dick. You know, but yeah, I just want to clear that up.
Dude. So, in short, you know, welcome all new fans with open arms.
Yes.
They have to learn from somebody.
Yeah.
Why not be their mentor?
Yeah, like, man, you seen like my new All Might tattoo?
Like, oh shit!
And I'm only in episode 2.
Yeah,
season 1. So if you're into it, if you're just joining in right now, to any anime, to any TV shows, do it. There's streaming services that. Imagine the streaming services if we had back in the day.
Imagine, dude.
Oh my god, dude! I would be like,
we have to wait a fucking week for the new episode to come out and just binge it.
I wouldn't have to wait a whole month to Goku to defeat Frieza. That's all I gotta say about that.
Oh man, cool. Well, let's move on to the last question, and you know, real quick one. What podcast do you listen to currently? What are your favorite ones?
I just have like a few ones, you know, the fact that because I said like I'm just like very I'm open-minded to anything, but of what I listen to Mr. Former Simpson. He's actually has a YouTube video, has a YouTube channel and a podcast with his brother. Sneaker Culture You know, pretty much. So if you follow him, it's Mr. Former Simpson, and then he just pretty much just like talks about any styles and what's going on. The other one is Real Talk podcast. That's pretty much just like just like a guy that owns a gym in Huntington Beach, and he kind of just more of eat this and eat that, which I drink beer and eat pizza. So that's my workout, and I'm like, sure, thank God I'm not doing that.
It's a SoCal diet right there.
Yeah, there he goes, man. And of course, Joe Rogan.
Yes, definitely.
He has amazing people on there. It could be from book writers to UFC fighters to politics to science and health, and a bunch of people actually go on this thing. And one more is called Business of Hype. It's pretty much just like self entrepreneurs, people that actually build their own business, and then it could be from clothing, it could be from, again, like from the culture that you actually do see and buy stuff obviously from the business.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I that's pretty much my top 4. How about you?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Mine, I mean, I think mine sound like really childish compared to that.
well, yeah.
I mean, so
I just topped you, man. What are you gonna do about it, huh? What are you gonna do about it?
So one of my favorite ones, yeah, I listen to Joe Rogan too. I usually tend to listen to, like, I don't listen to it religiously. I like usually when it's someone I'm interested in, like when he like just recently had Robert Downey Jr. on there. I mean, that was a great interview he did, and so I usually just tend to tune in when it's someone I know, or if I hear someone's going to be on there, I'll tune into it.
Yeah.
My other ones, wow. One is called Disgraceland. It's really awesome. It's a narrated podcast by this gentleman named Jake Brennan, and what he does is he takes these real life stories of these musicians, and he talks about them. So like one of the last ones he was covering the Beach Boys, and how one of the Beach Boys actually was friends with Charles Manson for a while.
Oh wow!
And it's really good. Like,
that sounds pretty good.
It's really good. He does another really good one about Marley, where he talks about how he was shot, and then like the next day was at the Smile Jamaica concert, still bleeding, and with just barely patched up. It's really great stuff. So that one's called Disgraceland. There's another one called This Paranormal Life, which is not serious whatsoever, where they go and do these investigations, in air quotes, of different paranormal things, but they're just sitting there making jokes and semi-seriously talking about it, and at the end of the show they decide whether it could possibly be real or not. Spoiler alert. It's usually not.
I think usually those shows, but see, interesting topics.
It is interesting though. It is interesting, and it's really funny. So I like listening to it. And then the last one is actually run by a friend of mine. It's called Nerd Life Crisis, and it's hosted by one of my friends from the Foul First and his two buddies who actually have their own comic, and they go do the con circuits, and I mean, I believe it's called Grace, and the newer one is called Legbus Juke Joint.
Okay.
And they draw, they illustrate and write it themselves.
Oh, no way.
Really good comic. Yeah, dude. I mean, it's a really interesting art style. Like, I need to pick it up. Like, but first step is actually getting to a con. I haven't gone in forever. But dude, it's really funny. They're these 3 guys, sometimes 4. They're all like in their what is it, like they're in their 40s. They're dads.
Yeah.
They have kids, but they still talk about how life is being a nerd as an adult, and it's really funny. Like, these guys are genuinely awesome, humble guys.
That's cool.
Like, I love listening to them. They're called Nerd Life Crisis.
See, instead of a night of poker, a night of comics. They're just talking about nerd stuff and stuff like that. But see, like anything that actually connects with people and stay. I'm sure they've been long friends, or they just became friends, like really awesome, and there it is. That's their nights. That's their nights being at home.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the best kind of night you can have.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so you know what? I say we call it, dude.
Cool.
That's our first episode.
Yeah.
I hope you stuck around. I hope we weren't too boring. So maybe next episode we'll see what we'll talk about. We'll put it out there. If you want to follow me, I'm on Instagram as the PpkéTrooper. That's ThePoke _. ProoPer. PpkéTrooper. Do you have an Instagram you want
Sweet.
to throw out?
Yeah. So again, with my collections and what I collect and do, I actually have a my own sneaker page. So it's called Los Sneakers.
Right.
Yep. So then it's just pretty much me and a buddy from high school that I actually made a Instagram showing our connection our sneakers, shoes, sneaker shoes. Yeah, if you're into that type of stuff, that's my Instagram.
Awesome. Cool. So we'll call it here. I've been the PpkéTrooper,
Dr. Snake.
and that's the Empire of Nerd podcast. Smell you later, nerds.